This
what is happening.
conference will now be recorded.
So I would not want to be categorized as one part of the similar webinars that you have been witnessing with most of the higher people, higher authorities from your colleges or universities, etc., etc. I'll try to be brief. I'll try to be to the point and be a little factual on what needs to be done and what is happening around the world. So currently we are in a situation wherein schools are shut. There is no live classes happening. Students are behind their syllabus, and schools and colleges are still struggling. So pretty honestly, more than half of the education fraternity is still struggling because of it's a lightning bolt. Nobody knew that this would be a situation wherein everybody would be stuck at their homes. So this is, I'm sure you must be hearing a lot about this word called the new normal that is going to happen after COVID, what things are going to change. So from my perspective, what I have seen, I've been interacting with a lot of college, university people. I have a privilege that my wife runs an engineering college in Dehradun. So kind of I understand how a university or a college looks like and how does it work, not only from my side, from my wife's side, but also I have been into this the education space since 2010. So it's been almost like 10 years that I've been working in this domain. Primarily, my earlier life, I was into purely into recruitment domain. I used to help a lot of colleges and universities in the recruitment cycle. So I'll tell you in detail about myself, but coming back to the topic, there is a lot of uncertainty and there is a lot of difficulty for colleges and universities to understand what to do next, because there is no such proven model that works, or somebody says that okay, this model will work and this can run for the next 10 years, 50 years, or 100 years, like what we have been following. Because typically nobody here understands what the next step is going to be like. Even the most experienced people in the world are still figuring out how to do how to take the next step. But there are certain factual things that have been coming up in these times, especially if you when I speak to a lot of college people and also the corporate, because we are primarily into the corporate domain right now, is that most of the students, I'm telling you about tier 2 and tier 3 cities, more than half, maybe the percentage may be even higher, more than half of the students do not have laptops or a physical infrastructure for them. Even if I try to use technology as a tool wherein I have to reach to them effectively, then there is an infrastructure issue that is still a big challenge for everybody. However, they are still trying, the colleges are still trying using mediums like Zoom or WhatsApp or maybe Skype or Google Hangouts, Google Meets, wherein they can actually interact with students or take their classes or continue with that. It has been happening. There is no doubt about it. The people have tried take a second gear or a third gear of to change tactics and try to still be in touch with the students. That has been there. But honestly speaking, because it has not been regulated, because it does not have walls around it, or it does not have specific rules and regulations regarding a learning curriculum, things are a little unorganized right now, especially in the online space. However, this is the current scenario, but times are still changing. We all know, and there is another big problem that I have been facing in my career in the last 10 years, where I've been into the corporate space. That look, I am right now 32 years of age, and when I was growing up, I used to study through blackboards in my schools and in my college days. There were blackboards or whiteboards. My teacher or my professor used to ask me to come up to the class and answer a certain set of questions. And then we had books and stationery where we used to work. But times have changed, and we have come up to a smart class now through a video conferencing methodology. The biggest challenge that I have faced starting from 2010 till 2020 till date is that the faculty members or the teachers or the professors are not very well versed with the technology. They are I'm not talking specifically about the audience here, but I'm just telling you about the general scenario that I have faced. I might be wrong in this, but typically out of my own experience, I'm talking about the fact that I used to remember in 2012 or 2013, we used to do campus drives for colleges, and students like who were into mechanical engineering or civil engineering or maybe electrical engineering, they didn't even have email IDs that time, let alone the laptops and the mobile phones, smartphones separately. So that was a problem at that time, but now the students have taken a step forward. However, the faculty members or the professors or the teachers are still trying to keep up. I'm sure that they want to, but they're still trying to keep up to the pace, but it hasn't showed that great results. I'll give you the basic example of this, taking my example of my parents. Because of the old age, sometimes people take a long time to actually evolve or change themselves into a new a mode or a medium. My biggest example was that I come from a small town in Uttar Pradesh, which is Prayagraj right now. My parents run a DTH. They have a DTH service of Tata Sky. So when they came to me in Delhi to meet me, and when they were alone, and I told them I'm going to office now, you can see the TV. My DTH is an Airtel remote or an Airtel connection. The problem was that they didn't know or they didn't understand how to handle that, even though the exact same functionalities were there, exact same remote is there with the volume button, the channel change button, almost the same. It's just the UI UX or the experience. The remote is black instead of white. They had a problem in doing that, and they still do, even after tons of explanation and experiencing, making them experience the same thing. So what I mean to say is that as we grow older, even with me, I come from an age where WhatsApp was born, where Skype was born or video calling was born. But for me, another new step or a new generation has come up in terms of Snapchat, something like a share it, or new technologies have come up, new apps have come up, which has made me feel that okay, I need to get into it, because there are multiple platforms that I have to be into and I have to know about it in order to stay relevant in the society. So for me, this was an example which I am giving you guys. Maybe it would be relevant or not relevant, but it was an experience for me to understand that the specific college teachers whom we respect a lot, the professors that we respect a lot, they have been struggling. But yes, there are people who are actually pioneers in the same space. They might be 20 to 30% of the entire population of the faculty members who have actually grown, taken a step forward and become leaders in the profession. But however, we are talking about the people in general, where they need to get into a lot of technology as they move forward. So the resistance to technology is now easing because of this COVID period. So it's again the same example. If I'm not able to, if I'm a teacher, I'm not able to teach my class, and at the end of the day, I have to resort to technology, which could be a video learning and an online learning, because there is no other medium. I have to learn it. So the next step is actually the evolution. So I just wanted to share a small slide wherein I will show you the evolution of education that has happened just because of technology. So as you can see here, I am just going to share my screen in front of you, the audience, on how exactly the learning curve has changed, especially how the execution has come up. So as you can see here, this is uh, this is the this is the change of education. In the earlier times, maybe in the early 1900s or even before that, there was a methodology of learning. That is, there is one teacher, which is still followed, one teacher, and there are 30 students sitting in front of you, and the same teacher is teaching this class. But as the population grew and the demand of the world grew, that they need to reach out to more people, and there was only one specific teacher or a professor on a specific subject or a trainer on a specific subject, then the male started going in. people used to send notes or send books via postage stamps to people, to other to wherein they wanted to teach the specific subject. The next step came the telephone. Then the other step came the television, wherein there was a visual medium. The one person could be sitting at X place and could be reaching out to other people in a televised format. That was like one guy teaching everybody the one same thing. But next came the internet in the early 1990s and the late 1990s and early 2000s, wherein actually the great boom happened. As you can see, the impact is also the same. As the technology got a little better, the impact of education was much higher, especially in this space. And actually, because of this impact, we can actually see a lot of changes in the modern learner as well. Now, as you can see, I remember in early 2010, we used to talk a lot of about online education to colleges and universities and even corporates. My earlier stint was I was heading sales for a recruitment company here in Gurgaon, wherein I used to do freelancing for most of these colleges as a consultant and getting a lot of affiliation with foreign universities, including foreign tie-ups like Audi, Bosches of the world, along with a friend of mine in Germany. So we used to do a lot of student exchange programs. We did a lot of Microsoft Innovation Centers were opened up in multiple colleges that I knew, along with Microsoft, that they did on their own, wherein we used to talk a lot about online education. And even then, the college management and the students used to were not very active on that platform. We were still hoping that someday it will come, that a lot of attention will come to this industry. But thanks to COVID, now we do not have any other medium. As you can see here, I'm showing you a report of Deloitte sometime back, wherein because of internet and because of the mobile phone specifically, this report is primarily about the new employees or the college students working in different multinational corporation. The modern learner who was born in a Google era, when Google was born, their people are much more used to technology, wherein they are much more used to mobile phones, they are much more used to digital technology, wherein they want to avoid physical interaction. I'm giving you a reference to my own my own example. When I used to work in multinational corporations, they used to conduct training sessions for us, for many other people in the teams. And for us, that was like more of a holiday, because we just used to attend classes, and at the end of the day, there was a lot of entertainment, and we used to have a lot of dinner and enjoyment, and then come back. And after 15 days, everything was wiped off. We didn't even remember what the guy had taught us. So we were forced to actually, or maybe we ourselves realized that if we have learning which is personalized to us, which is relevant to us as a user, that would be more effective and interesting as a user versus taking a physical interface in terms of training. Because I think I have evolved as a user. I have evolved a lot, and I have made friends and made peace with technologies per se. And while doing this, what the problems came into play was that I am very distracted. If you see a student right now, or maybe I don't know about most of the people, but especially in the academic domain, but specifically talking about students, they are very much distracted. If you send somebody a WhatsApp video which is more than 5 minutes long, they won't listen, they won't see that video entirely. Their attention spans have dropped really bad. If you can see in the report, most learners won't watch videos longer than 4 minutes. And they are so used to multitasking or multi-apps that they utilize themselves, that they want to jump across multiple applications wherein they can actually spend time on. While a recent debate really happened, wherein there was a debate between TikTok and YouTube, wherein there was somebody talking about the fact that TikTok has overtaken YouTube just because of the fact that it has only 1 minute video to show, and or maybe 15 seconds or 30 seconds, and you do not require much of your brains to actually navigate through what exactly you require. It's the artificial intelligence behind the application which suggests materials to the user, and the person just goes on and on, moving forward with the specific video that he wants to watch and get entertained. So this is a problem statement that has also arisen specifically with the online space. What I wanted to show to you specifically with this slide was the current status of the modern learner, even in the online learning space. Currently, what is happening. However, coming back to the topic in terms of universities and colleges of the same online learning. Most of the colleges right now, because they are not able to actually reach out to the students directly, what they are doing is they are actually doing a physical virtual environment wherein they are doing a webinar kind of a video conferencing where they are doing a class just like I am doing right now. But what after that? That is, there are various platforms which they are using it, but the problem with them is that there is not a single ecosystem wherein you can have a video recording or a video conferencing solution, whereas a teacher would talk to 20 people, followed by a specific learning curve or a learning intervention which the teacher would want the student to give. So there are various other platforms doing different things, but the problem is that there has not been a blended learning approach in a single platform till today in times wherein there could be an effective solution for everybody. So, but yes, there are companies coming up with new solutions, and I'm sure the audience here must be using or utilizing most of it. But yes, there is a huge demand because of this specific situation. And as we move along, there are new concepts of learning as well coming up. So the blended learning format is there, the online learning format is there. Then most of the apps or the solutions that are being offered in the market, they are also providing gamification. They are providing augmented reality and virtual reality solutions in the market. That's the next step of the business. In 2-3 years before this, I used to actually imagine that there would be a time that I would be sitting at my home, just wearing a glass at my home, and I could be studying a specific topic on through my teacher. I'll just give you an example on exactly what I meant to say as a future of learning. In India, there is something similar happening, which I really would want to show all of you. This is something that is happening in India as an education system. There is a company that is doing this.
Chandrayaan 2 is India's second lunar exploration mission. The mission is planned to use GSLV Mk3 to launch an orbiter, land the orbit, and the southern pole of the moon, respectively, taking a fuel-efficient path utilizing the moon's gravitational pull. So let us explore more about the journey and the objectives of Chandrayaan 2.
While I know I might be promoting this company, but this is something that's the next level that we actually assume that the technology is going to change, and actually it would be a real-time experiential learning for any student anywhere studying, either in a school or a college or a university, anywhere. So what I meant to why I wanted to show this video was primarily because of the fact that the next step in the learning domain is going to be exactly as you can see here. So currently, coming back to the topic, what I have touched right now is that specifically the status of the college as of now, or school students right now. What is the university is trying to do? Basically, they are trying to reach out to their own students in a different way. What is the difference, and what is the difficulties that they are facing specifically because of the change that has come up in the technology space right now, and what could be the new concepts in the learning space. Currently, I don't have too much to add on this specific format, but yes, right now startups like us, I am a 4-year-old organization. We are a 4-year-old organization based out of Delhi. uh, I'll just give you a brief story about us and what we did as a company, and how do we stand here and what we are doing currently. We started in February 2016, wherein I reached out to a lot of colleges and universities specifically with an app-based learning program. It was an AI-based mobile learning platform specifically for communication skills. When I was into a lot of recruitment space, wherein I was helping colleges into recruitments, that time most of the HRs used to come out and say, I'm sure which most of the students, most of the faculties must be witnessing the fact that the students are able to answer technical questions, but they are not able to talk. They are not able to tell about themselves really well. The communication skills are weak. So we tried to focus on that. Even the government and everywhere in the newspapers, there was a specific column written about employability across India. We tried to focus on that. However, that time also the problem was the students didn't have enough phone connections. If they had phone connections, smartphones, then there was problem with the data. But thanks to right now the space we are in, especially the government of India or the Geo, wherein the data has become so cheap that companies like us are able to actually provide solutions to these students. So we started out with with an artificial intelligence based engine wherein behavioral learning could be done on the application. For the first 1 year, things were really bad. Actually, when we went out to the colleges and the universities, the colleges and the management bought the program just because of the thought of it, the concept. They liked it a lot, but the problem was there wasn't any carrot for the student to actually use the platform. They couldn't make it mandatory. So people like us, we felt really disheartened with the fact that students didn't even download the apps that were given to them. So at the end of the day, we had to pivot our model towards the corporate section. When we moved on to the corporate, we realized that every corporate, whomsoever hires a new student from a specific college or to their company, they have to do certain training programs. So we felt that the need is there, and they wanted to spend less money versus doing a physical program. So wherein we put the entire learning experience on the application, and over there was a mandatory requirement because the company told their employees that they have to do this training program in order to move forward in their career. That actually clicked, and with this keeping in mind, right now after 4 years, we have almost trained 30,000 employees across the world with different solutions on the application, including the product training, in HR training, post training, as well as the real life behavioral training modules on through the applications that we have. So that was our journey. But again, COVID hit us really bad. The corporates that we used to work with, especially one of our biggest clients was Ola. which actually got burnt. As you can see, their business came down and they had to stop a lot of operations. So we got hit badly. And now we've come up with another similar example of what we are doing with the corporate space, and we've built it as a mobile application to the students, wherein we are trying it out with a couple of colleges here in North India, one in Dehradun and one in Kanpur, especially in the UP region, wherein what we are doing is that most of the content that has been created, that can be created by the faculties as a lecture or as a specific topic that can be covered, we have tried to make learning bifurcate into micro learning formats and then put it on the application for the student. Right now, if the student does not have a laptop, he does have a mobile phone. He can download the iAugmenter application, wherein the content is created by the faculty themselves. This is to avoid the copyright issues, because we cannot upload the entire digital textbooks on the application for the students, because it will become a little too difficult for the student to learn from it. So what we did was we uploaded the entire content created by the faculties themselves, put it on the application for the user, wherein they can use their own mobile phones, and from there onwards they can actually make the students learn through a specific format. So as I'm talking to you right now, I'm going to share with you a demo of the exact application that we are using with these colleges that I'm talking about. So herein, if you can just see my screen here on the application, this is my mobile phone that I have mirrored on the application. So here is the iAugmenter app that you can see here. So I have already logged into the system through the app. What we have tried to do is we have gamified the entire solution of the application of the learning experience to any user or a learner. So as you can see, this is a demo login of a college called Tulas in Dehradun. So what we did was we created one specific learning module or a course for a computer science student. Let's say it is computer science engineering for a 3rd semester. We just put one course that is object-oriented programming here, and we clicked on this. This entire learning, this is as basis of the syllabus provided by the state university through which the college is affiliated from. So if I am a college, I have to run computer science engineering in a third semester. One unit or one course structure is object-oriented programming. In that, it is subdivided into multiple chapters. So what is object-oriented programming? Then it has sub-chapters like information hiding, why information hiding, so on and so forth. These specific topics are done in a micro level learning format. So an information hiding could be just a one-page Word document explaining a theoretical reason about what information hiding could be. A student can just go there, study for, let's say, a 5-minute or a 3-minute, and just directly go through this topic on which he wants to study and move forward. So we can continue learning, and I can see my next steps. So if I have, because it's a demo login, I have already used it. So for me, the other chapters would be locked unless and until I move to I complete the first chapter. So herein I can put any kind of content pieces basis my design. So so this is done by a faculty. So there is a video also. There's a presentation that is created by the faculty for 16 minutes on what is designing the system. So this is actually the entire content piece by one of the faculty members in the college that they have put on the application. So as you can see here on the screen, there is also an audio as well at the back end where the faculty is giving a voiceover. So here the student can actually study this 16-minute video of a specific topic that is covered here on the application. So this is for this is regarding what we have done for the colleges right now, and this is something that we are trying to. And then after this, the entire chapter, once you have completed the entire learning, then there is an assessment that can be taken here by the user himself. So that's how we've tried to actually create. We've also created games internally as well. So you'll be given a situation wherein you have to drag and drop the answers. So these are typically assessment-based games, that we have created for the users, and they can just submit the answer, and then they'll get to know whether it's a right or wrong answer. So we've tried to gamify the learning experience as well. For the internal user, he can also see what he has done. So this is more of a reward section for him, as well as understanding where he has reached. So if in the courses for me that is assigned is an object-oriented programming, there are 5 chapters. I have done all the 5 chapters. What are the badges that I have earned? Then there is a wallet system that we have created. So let's say if a user is learning and getting points in through the assessment systems, he can actually get vouchers or maybe certain rewards or recognition from the college itself by redeeming these points. It's just like a credit card reward redemption program that we have typically in the market. Then you can also see how much time that the user has spent on the application, what has he done, how much quizzes that he has taken, what articles that he has seen, how many videos or games that he has done, what his progress has been like, and what is his rank in the domain, whether he is ranking number 1 in the institution, in the class, or in the department. That's how we can actually customize it accordingly. So any communication that needs to be done from the college itself can be done. And then there are bookmarks and flashcards and dictionary available for the students. So this is how we've tried to come up with this solution of an app-based learning program, which is running right now in a pilot mode with a couple of colleges. The next step to this would be what we are coming up with. As you can see here, where it is written take master assessment, the next step would be wherein if I am a faculty or I am a teacher, I can give live lectures on the application itself. So the student will see a live lecture of the same class of, let's say, object-oriented concepts. It could be of 1 hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, and that would be live as well as recorded here for that student. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to make the learning experience a little more interesting for the user and put it on his mobile phone. So that's how we have tried to do something with the colleges right now. And then what we have done currently is that we have been working with the colleges in the same space, where we also have an LMS system for the college. So as you can see here in the screen right now, there is a LMS dashboard that will also be given to the college, where they can see exactly how many users are there in what courses, in what chapter, and what they have done till now. They can even select the courses and see whether they have done a pre-assessment or a post-assessment, how much time they have spent. And individually, I can go into a learner's login, where I can see actually what he has done in his life. So so you can actually see which batch he is in, which branch or which semester he is in. Line manager indicates the faculty which is clubbed to his tagged to his learning, and you can see exactly how much time that he has spent, what he has grown. You can even see the chapter wise progress of that individual, that if he is on the first chapter, whether he has done this chapter, read his chapter or not, what kind of points that he has covered. I can see this for the entire institution or even internally in the colleges segment as well. We have you can compare batches, you can create batches, and you can also check whether how they are growing as students in terms of learning. So this is step 1, what we have been trying to do for colleges. We've recently got into this mode, and some of the college management is actually liking it, and we're trying to actually move forward with this as we go along. However, we as a startup right now, we are also collaborating with multiple startups in the area, in the same domain, wherein they can actually combine their own products into our product, wherein they can offer best of solutions to the colleges. The next step towards this, as I told you, that was our first step. The next step towards this augmented reality and virtual reality. As we move on, we kept the name of our company iAugmenter because we wanted to venture into the augmented reality space as well, wherein 4 years before this, when we thought about it, it was very difficult because most of the colleges and the students could not afford a headset, wherein you could have a headset and you can have a virtual reality or an augmented reality experience, plus the internet connection. So these were some of the issues that we used to face. But right now we are in the development stage. Probably within the next 6 months or a year, we'll be coming up with an augmented reality experience, just as you saw in the screen. But as you move along, there is a company which everyone knows, is Google, that has come up with something like this, which has really it's an old video which I'm going to show to you, but this again is the next step into reality for the specific people who are into augmented reality. This is something, the next step that we are thinking of. So Google has created a company called Dillcrush.com, wherein you can create your own structures the way you want. To be honest, this is almost a 4-year-old video that was presented at that time in a conference that I had attended, and pretty honestly, things are moving forward in the next direction, and we as a company, as Indians, or for humanity, we actually need to do something different, just as what I shared to you going forward. So for me, if the next step comes into play, wherein this online learning or blended learning comes into play, then there are other pros and cons into this as well. As a business, for us, the biggest pro is that it is very much scalable. It's easy to sign up, talk to people, and give them an example that how e-learning and online learning could be effective for the users. But the cons that we have been facing right now is that, one, the biggest problem that you must be seeing in the news, that the students who are coming online, they are not predictable. They have become abusive. They are not very much respective to their teachers right now. We're still trying to find a solution in terms of technology, how to find it, how to actually cope up to it. And then the next problem statement is that what after Corona? All this solution that you are giving, everybody talks to me about this, all this solution that you are giving to me, online education, things are fine. But after 1 year or 2 years, when the vaccine comes in and everything actually comes back to the same as it was, what is going to happen with this solution right now? So for this, I have this, my only answer is that we have seen, it's a very age-old saying that if you do something for 21 days in continuous motion, it will become a habit for you. So in the same way, what we are thinking, and we are expecting that over the time that while this problem goes away, in the next 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, people will be only be interested about online training platforms. The word classrooms without walls, universities of the future, will actually become the normal words that we talk about right now. The coaching institutes or the online learning, the physical learning platform will actually do away with these platforms directly. So what I meant to say is that we are trying to innovate. What we are trying to do is doing quite a different, we are trying to take a different approach from it used to be done. But yes, as we go along, we need to actually change, because one thing COVID has made us do is actually come out of our closet, come out of our comfortable zones, and do something different, and actually to survive. Because in this market, if we are not able to survive, I was hearing from most of the people that I know, somebody is shutting down colleges. People are the colleges are furloughing employees. They're not giving them pay. There are a lot of pay cuts happening because students are not able to give the fees. And these colleges are moving towards a digital learning platform. They're still trying to figure out, they are talking to clients, they're talking to companies wherein they can get new vendors onto it. And these and people, an audience like you, students or even teachers or faculty members, they have to adopt to this platform. The best part would be actually to not to question this platform, but to actually add on value, give suggestions on can we add this, can we do something different with corporates like us, or inventors or scientists. You can give us your suggestion. We'll actually incorporate it, because in today's world we have been seeing that technology has grown leaps and bounds. We have self-driving cars coming up, we have drones delivering items, and we have augmented reality, virtual reality solutions. That these are the next steps that which were 5 years ahead, but now they have actually come forward to us, because it's becoming easier for us to actually attain to them, because now the market is demanding the same. A company like us, we used to do revenues worth $1 million a year, and now the revenues have doubled, just because of the fact that most of these users, most of the companies and the corporates and even the colleges, they want a system like this, and there aren't enough players in the market, which they are cropping up, but they haven't addressed the solution that well, or they haven't been in the market for so long wherein they can adopt or adapt this similar nature. The problem with most of the startups and the companies right now is, because of these 3 months and 4 months of this lockdown happening, most of these companies haven't had enough time or cash flows to manage to actually get their company going in for the next innovative step. So that's also a big challenge for companies like us. Hence, for us, we believe that it's a business opportunity. We believe that we can impact. There is a lot of scope of change. There is a lot of scope in growing forward. Right now, the first step, a company like us, because of the primitive nature of the students who are in the domain or in the schools, or which do not have enough infrastructure like a laptop, let alone the headset. What I'm talking about is a dream, but right now they don't even have a basic infrastructure available for them to actually do the online training programs or courses. So we are starting off with small, then we are moving up to the next level. As so this is basically our next step, and finally we'll be unveiling a new product very soon, wherein you will have the entire ecosystem of the entire college, be it video conferencing, be it an ERP software, be it an LMS, be it attendance management, be it anything which is done in a college. We will be providing it internally for that college system, to that college itself, or a school or a coaching institute, or to anybody. So that's the next step. But however, all we need is the support from all of the educational domain people, wherein they can help us grow themselves and us, and stay relevant in the society. So that's about it. And thank you, Param, for giving me the honor. And I'll be very happy to take questions, because I've messed up a lot, because I'm trying a lot of things.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Even I'll ask the participants, is there anybody who wants to ask any questions? Please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask the question. I'm repeating, are there any questions?
I hope my speech was, my talk was not that bad, and I won't get any questions
No,
at all.
sir. The way you carried it out was very nice. I liked it. Matlab, the future was looking very bright. That paintbrush, Google Paint was very wonderful. I just viewed it right now. I didn't know that Google was going to help artists in such a manner.
Right. So any artist who's looking forward to do this, no problems. I have many more videos like this, but because of the time and the discussion I was into, I couldn't show. But I would definitely be very helpful. I will really appreciate if somebody asked me to share these things.
No, definitely, sir. I'll be one of the few who will be asking you for more videos regarding augmented reality.
So
After online, definitely that is the next step. for any university that wants to take it forward. Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Yeah. For the participants, we will be uploading the lecture on our YouTube channel. So the link will also be shared to each and every one. So you all need not worry. We already have the email IDs through diagnostics from GoToMeeting. So we'll be mailing you the YouTube channel link as well as the YouTube video link. Thank you, Pratik sir, for the
Thank you.
wonderful session. Yeah. Sir, there is one question. Can we
Yes.
have anything beyond Google Maps using augmented reality?
Can we have anything beyond Google Maps?
Yeah, he's written it in chat.
Okay, but there isn't, as far as I know, Google Maps with augmented reality right now, Google has come up with a solution wherein what you can do is you can actually see the entire road yourself. So let's say if you are using a mobile phone or a headset, you can actually see the entire solution on that the road or the entire journey through the mobile phone. That is out right now. You can just Google it and you'll find it. But regarding Google Maps integrating with this, nothing yet as of now. Apart from that,
Nice dream, that one. Yeah. Uh, Thank you, sir. I don't feel there is any other doubt that's being presented.
yeah. So for I'll just tell my product once again. What I
Yeah.
can do is I can share a demo link about my application. My website is www.iaugmentor.com. Primarily, we were into corporate domain, but now we've recently shifted into the college space. If you are interested, if you would be really interested in knowing about this solution or want to play around with it, come up with suggestions, because we have a 30-member team working with us specifically in the R&D and the app space. We'll be more than happy to actually give you a demo of that. And primarily for a company like us, we'll be more than happy to pilot some information or some demo with you guys. We don't have any problems in that, because right now I'm not trying to sell any product about myself, about our company. What we are trying to do is we want to engage people, use this product, and then probably non-monetize. Pretty honestly, coming on any other technology company gives something for free, and then after a month or 2 months or 3 months, if things are really well, we make business out of it. So that's how we actually do it. So what I'll share, if somebody has just asked my contact number as well, I'll be more than happy to share, and we'll be happy to talk separately for any discussion, for any call. I'm available. Any which ways, I'm at home only near a containment area, so I can't come out. So I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
Thank you, Pratik sir, for the wonderful session. And with the words of with this, we will complete today's session. The link for today's session will be shared. Pratik sir has already shared his contact details and email ID on the chat group. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm giving you all 2 minutes to just note those down. Yeah, Pratik sir.
Just in the meantime, I would want, I'll just give you all this, the people who are watching it, I just want to give them an opportunity, especially the faculty members and the professors here, is that you guys, if you are interested in building a new technology solution internally for your college or for your school or your university, anything, contact us. We'll start off with a pilot program. We can do it for a month. If you like it, we won't charge anything to you. You can use the product free of cost, get all the help that you require from our side. Because typically what I have not been able to show to you was more of a corporate level link things. Like we have multiple technology tools available that we have created. So like a role play video, somebody who is an MBA graduate, there are case studies that happen or that are being taken wherein a role play happens where two people are talking to each other. You can create that role play. We have actually trademarked that role play simulator is what we called about. You can refer to our website. we have a text extractor. So if you upload a PDF document, a text extraction can come up with specific templates that you can design to create content. We have a video maker that we have created. We have a simulation, real-time simulation, wherein we have combined. It's a little technology. I'll just give you an example. We've used this with call centers specifically across different industries, wherein if you are given a situation, the person will have to record his video and answer that situation. So here is, I am given a situation on so and so things. How would you react to it? The person will record his video, wherein we will do a facial analysis through AWS, and then we will do speech to text. So through Google Text. So if you are speaking something, that will be converted into text, and we do sentiment analysis through IBM Watson. So we use 3 different technologies together at one application, and we give a score of that individual. And that score is mapped against an expert score. So an expert would answer this and would get 100 out of 100. And since you have answered that same situation, you will get, let's say, 60 or 70 out of 100, because this is the perfect answer that you need to give. So this is more on the behavioral learning front, that this is a very new technology and that has been very popular with corporates that we have been working with. And typically if you ask me, as a technology enthusiast, we've been working on multiple technologies which would be very, very interesting for people, for faculty members who are from the computer science department specifically, that they can work with us. And we are very, very open for internship programs. Pretty honestly, I have had like 6 faculty members from different computer science departments in colleges working with us as interns and consultants. They give us their help, they have their own thoughts, and we have the team to actually deliver that. So we'll be more than happy to collaborate with the colleges as well and make it as a business. So this is something that this is all that I wanted to share with you guys. We are young guys. You are experienced in education. We'll be needing your experience, and we'll be more than happy to actually do something about it. Thank you. So Param, I am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pratik sir. Thank you, Pratik sir. And
question coming up on the chat, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, please, Mr. Adaveli Ramesh. Does it cut jobs if we use much? So actually, it won't. Pretty honestly, when I used to sell this to the corporates and even the colleges, they had the same problems. But for just to explain it to you, we are not going to replace the physical trainer or the teacher or the faculty member. What we intend to do is actually become a value add to you guys. I am not the technology guy. I'm only the technology guy. I am not the domain expert. I don't know how does computer science engineering works. I am not an engineer. I'm a management graduate. I don't know what is mechanical engineering, what is a BBA course like, or what is a BCA course like. You guys are the main expert about it. What we intend to do is we want to create more value out of the faculty members. That intention is that right now we do not want to just put the books, digitize the books and put it on the application for the students. It is not there to learn. The best part is that if you are a faculty member, just like I showed a video about designing the system, it's a beautiful video that has been created by one of the MBA faculties. What they do is they have created that video in a PowerPoint format, converted into a video with a voiceover. They have given their expertise as a lecture on that specific topic and uploaded it. We will only provide a platform to that user. We are not replacing the faculty members. Right now, if you use this platform, you become the most important part of that institution. Remember, the institution is only hiring faculty members because they know something about that subject, and we want to give you more power. You can even use this platform for students external. Maybe a coaching institute can use it. Maybe a any specific certification agency can use this platform. We are trying to give this opportunity for them, and we will just be at the back end. So we are a platform, not here to cut the jobs. There is another question that came up. Can you please tell interns offered, how do you provide these times? Please give details. So we typically give an internship stipend starting from 7,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees a month, keeping for 3 months. If we select that intern, and if you if you work with us for 3 months, we can even put you, because you are already working with a college or somewhere else, you can just work as a consultant to us. So we have almost like 16 to 17 consultants working with us because we have to create new products and get technology updated all the time. I cannot manage with only 30 people on the board. So there are various different people working on the platform. Even in the content development team, we have a lot of content development people, graphic designers, instructional designers, and even people who are specifically writing content specifically on behavioral as well as technology. So we've got people who are working with us on projects, not only with the colleges and schools. We've also hired people from faculties who are working with us for corporates. I'll give you an example. We've recently signed a contract with Tata Power, wherein they have to train their mechanical engineers and electrical engineers on their specific learning formats. So we have actually curated that course on the application through the content that has been given to us as manuals by these Tata Power people. And we needed experts in this domain to help us put that content of 100 words into 20 words. So I'm just giving you an example. We wanted to shorten that content and put it on the application for the user, the relevant content. Hence, we hired faculty members from different colleges. Because I'm from the northern part of India, so I'm talking more, especially with the northern colleges. But I'll be more than happy to talk with the South Indian people, or these people from Hyderabad, Bangalore, or Andhra Pradesh, or even Tamil Nadu. We don't mind. You can directly reach out to us and we can have a discussion specifically on that. How can students and teachers be benefited from interns? Internship, I think. So it's just a value add. You can get some money, extra money, by the time you are working or even studying, and get an experience working with a company like us. We are not a big organization. We are just a startup. We are a 4-year organization. We've raised funds. You can just type IOG Mentor anywhere in Google. You'll get to know a lot about us. We were selected as one of the top 5 startups in the world by the World Technology, the International Telecommunication Union, wherein I was called as the presenter as one of the top 5 startups in the world to give us an idea on how online learning would look like in the future. So that was something that happened 3 years back. And since then, we've been funded. We've got investors from India and outside India as well who've been backing us up, and we're taking this to the next level. Again, things have hampered, but don't worry. We will come out of this very soon, and we'll make a big business from this opportunity. That is what I believe, and we would invite people from all strata of the society to be a part of this journey. Okay, I think we don't have more questions now.
Thank you, sir, for your for description of the journey. That was very informative, as well as what your team does and how many members you have. Those questions are generally not answered in a very fashioned way when talking to others. I've noticed that.
I'll just take 2 more minutes just to give my background on how I started, and just it could be something I don't know whether I could inspire somebody or not, but I'm giving you a background about my own self. I have graduated from the University of Delhi as a commerce graduate, and since the age of 18 I had been working. I was from the start, from just by passing class 12. I have been alone. I have been working for my own self. It's not that my parents and my family is not there. I have a big fat family here, not in Delhi but in Prayagraj. But I left that city, came to Delhi, and I started network marketing. I did lots of different things to do business, to earn money. I actually funded my own education since the age of 18. And after that, I went on to join a startup. I don't know, most of the people here in the audience might know about it. It was GoCubes.com, and in 2010. And I was like the 10th or 11th member of the company. And how I was hired is a small story. I was working for my father in his business in Prayagraj itself, thinking about new business opportunities. And one day somebody called me up. I was thinking of doing an MBA. Somebody called me up, would you like to do a job? And I was thinking that, okay, while doing MBA, I can get some job and I can make some money out of it. And the head of the sales team called me up, took an interview at 5 p.m. in the evening. And then he said, okay, Pratik, it's fine. You look nice. Could you come down to Delhi tomorrow in the morning to have a discussion for your interview? And I said, okay, sir. Right now it's 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock is the next train. I'll come to you to Delhi tomorrow in the morning, and I'll see you in the office. And I reached in the next 2 hours. He asked me, whether would you have a reservation? How will you come? I said, leave that to me. I'll come to my own self. And in the morning, I reached out. The whole day, it was an interview session happening. And at the end of the day, I was given a job. And then I asked him, why was I hired? So he said, Pratik, you were hired the time that you told me in the next 2 hours, I have a train, I'll come to Delhi. The rest of the interview process was just a formality, because we knew that you had the fire in you to grow. You had the fire in you to to rise up to the occasion. You didn't ask us, how much money will it require? What is the train timing? I don't have the tickets. You didn't provide me any kind of excuses. You just came up. So at the end of the day, the story is for me, which I keep telling to every young individual that I meet, don't ever get flabbergasted or, let's say, too excited about people who have a lot of talent with them. They might have a great talent. They might have everything they require to succeed in life. But there is a proverb called a talent is a gift, but a desire to succeed always supersedes talent. So if you have a desire to succeed, you can get anything you want, irrespective whether you have talent or not. You'll have people around with you to work with you who are talented. But if you have a burning desire, you'll definitely succeed in life. So for all the people, all the faculty members, students who are actually thinking what is going to happen in the next 3 months or 6 months, don't take tension. Just figure out ways. You have a great medium with you, which is an internet. You have the whole world at your phone. You can do anything that you like. Study, research, think about new things, fail, and then come rise up to the occasion. And I'm sure you will succeed. So for everybody, people who do not succeed is because that they give up hope. And people who have burning desire, they don't give hope. They only move and succeed. So that was about it. That's the 2 minutes that I took extra. It was just like a motivational thing. I hope you liked it.
Yeah, that was very nice, sir. Thank you, sir. Once more, thank you for all the participants that have attended this session. And once more, I'll just like to remind you that the YouTube link will be shared to you all. Thank you very much for attending the session, and I'm closing the session now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.